VTOL, or vertical takeoff and landing, is a highly desired way of launching and recovering aircraft, and not just because it looks cool, because it eliminates a lot of the infrastructure surrounding airplanes, most notably the need for runways. The military necessity brought out by the Cold War saw the efforts around VTOL aircraft doubling. Both sides explored novel concepts, and one such concept involved an aircraft that looked an awful lot like the X-Wing that would debut on movie screens 2 decades later. The AVRO Canada TS-140's history has already been covered elsewhere, and much better than I will in this video. So I won't go into the history too much, just go watch Found and Explain's video on it. But it will suffice to say that the US Navy wanted a vertical takeoff and landing capability in order to be able to make maximum use of carrier decks, and possibly arm merchant ships if necessary. With the tools available in Flyout, we can recreate or maybe create this vehicle and fly it for the first time with a realistic physics engine driving it. Ready, set, go! This is now the second in my series of videos where I take concepts that never flew and build them in Flyout, fly them, and provide feedback on how they performed. I'm a licensed pilot with thousands of hours flying multiple aircraft, so I bring real-world experience to all of these videos. Now for these builds, I am imposing some limitations. The first is that I will always do my best to match the external configuration of the aircraft, and I will not change it. Where possible, I will match the exact dimensions and the statistics. If there is engine data, I will do my best to match those specifications as well. However, the interior is a little less rigid. I'm allowing myself to reorganize the internal bays of an aircraft in order to ensure that the aircraft can actually fly. My reasoning here is that a manufacturer would do the same thing during the design process and flight test phase, so this is a legitimate way to move forward. Now, if information is lacking though, I'll make creative decisions based on experience or feedback that will remain within the spirit of the design or with an eye towards optimization. For the TS-140 specifically though, I need a major caveat. You see, the aircraft's VTOL design was based on a valve system inside the engines that would redirect the engine thrust downward. It did not rotate the engines like so many other designs. Rather, the engines would remain fixed. While Flyout is great, it does have its limitations. One of them surrounds the use of jet engines. In the game, air cannot be obstructed around the engine, so the intakes will always intake the correct amount of air and the exhaust will always blow it straight out the back, regardless of what fuselage is placed in front of or behind the jet. Therefore, I cannot replicate the VTOL design of the aircraft in Flyout. Trust me, I experimented, as you can see here. Notice that despite this clamp being lowered to redirect the flow downward, the heat plume continues out the back of the jet uninterrupted. I would like to experiment with this particular VTOL system, but right now the software limitations won't allow it. Also, it's worth noting that I'm not using any mods. The game is straight out of the box. I know that others in the community have modeled Harriers and similar jets, but I'm sure that they have used game mods in order to do this. Maybe if I decide to implement game mods in the future, I can revisit this design and test the VTOL capabilities. So, I'm going to break only one of my rules here, and I'm only going to examine flight performance. I've decided in this case to equip the aircraft with wheels where they would normally have skids. This lets me do a conventional takeoff and landing in order to get into the air and evaluate that flight performance after that. Otherwise, the aircraft is simple and easy to replicate. It's 15.24 meters or 50 feet long with a wingspan of 7.7 meters or 25 feet, with the canards being 5.56 meters or 18.25 feet. Its 4 engines each generate about 22 kilonewtons of thrust, and that's replicated in the game. So, it's not too much effort to get this design worked out, slap on a coat of paint, and take it out to go fly. So, first impression of this aircraft is it's way overpowered. I suppose that's a good thing for a VTOL aircraft that has to overcome gravity, though. Now, I only did a conventional takeoff, so I can only speak to that, but it accelerates down the runway just so fast. Getting into the air is pretty easy too. The tail comes alive, picks up, and just a quick jerk of the stick will launch the airplane into the air. But once you're up there, it feels unstable. The aircraft is constantly wanting to roll one way or the other as if it's top heavy and wants to roll over. So that requires constant inputs in order to keep some semblance of a straight and level flight. But as a result, the airplane really wants to roll into a turn, so you can roll and pull and sustain a 3G turn fairly easily. Now the canards don't have as much control authority as I would like, so if I were to upgrade the design or redo the design myself, I would make them larger. Second, the airplane has a hard time slowing down. I don't suppose that's an issue for an airplane transitioning from straight and level to vertical flight, but I would still like speed brakes or flaps to help it slow down. Without it, a conventional landing is completely out of the question because I just can't get the airplane slow enough because it's so overpowered. And there you have it. The TS-140 tested in horizontal flight. I'd like to revisit it with the VTOL capabilities one day, and I'm open to suggestions in the comments section on how to best accomplish that. Give us a like and subscribe if you don't mind so I can resurrect more never flown designs like this one. And as always, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.